This is my 2004 Mercury Marauder, and if you guys have been following along with this series, you know I bought this thing sight unseen out of Louisiana, where it sat for 8 years with a blown up original motor in it. The previous owner had a Vortex supercharger on it, blew it up, it sat in his yard next to a concrete plant getting covered in dust for 8 years. I shipped it up here in January, started working on it in May. In the past few months, we've been working on swapping in a fully built Terminator 2003-2004 supercharged motor into this thing. Should be around 550 horsepower when it's all done. I got a dyno appointment scheduled for a couple weeks from now, but unfortunately we have no time to waste on this thing. So it's time to finally tackle the cosmetics on this thing. I washed this thing once back in May when we first were pushing it into the garage. Other than that, we have not touched the paint. We repainted the moldings on the side in the last video and did a like factory style spoiler. Other than that, we haven't done anything. So we gotta get going on this paint here, and it definitely needs some help. It's got swirls, it's got scratches. The hood is actually off a Grand Marquis that I found in a junkyard because the original hood corners were bent up. There's sap on it, there's bird droppings, you name it. This car sat outside forever. It's got it. It needs a ton of help. The good news is it's very straight. It's all original paint as far as I can tell, so I think it's gonna clean up really nice. But we gotta get started right now. Seems to be clearing up now, but we've got the first rain we've had in like weeks here in New Hampshire. A little bit windy, not a perfect day for this, but we got no time to waste. So first things first, we gotta pull this thing out and give it a super thorough decontamination wash. We're gonna be using everything in the arsenal from Gyeon Products. I said, this car needs everything. They said, don't worry, we got a product for everything. So they sent me everything that I'm hopefully gonna need to bring this paint back. We're gonna start with a good wash, then an iron cleansing, and then we're gonna clay bar the whole car. And there's a lot more than that. I wanna make sure that I get in all these jams and stuff that have been collecting dirt for the past 8 years or so. There's an issue on the roof here. You can see I've been doing some work up here off camera. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but the first thing I wanna do is give this thing a really good decontamination wash. The first wash since May of this year, so let's get to work. Quick break from the action, guys, to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Redtiger, and their new F17 Elite dash cam. Whether you're a road tripper, a ride sharer, or just want some extra protection for your vehicle, you need a dash camera, and the Redtiger F17 is the one to get. This dash camera has 3 channels, including a 4K front, 1080p interior cabin, and a 2.5K rear camera. Installation is a breeze. Just stick the camera to the windshield, then use the included tool to tuck the wiring into the headliner and or behind trim. Install the rear camera, and you're good to go. This system uses two Sony Starvis sensors in the front and rear cameras, and the dual channel HDR improves dynamic range, ensuring balanced exposure, which can reduce overexposure or underexposure in challenging lighting. The touchscreen is clear and intuitive and allows you to scroll between front, rear, and interior or all three cameras at the same time. Both the front and rear camera can easily distinguish license plates on vehicles around you, and the world's first full-color dashcam with in-cabin view gives you a crystal clear picture at night, regardless of lighting conditions. With the 4K exterior front-facing camera and 4K interior cabin camera, you could easily use the Redtiger dashcam for a vlog. Maybe even an automotive vlog, perhaps. Maybe you'll be seeing this thing more on the channel. So if you guys are looking for the best dash camera on the market with the industry's first full-color night vision camera, get the Redtiger F17. The link is going to be in the description. Go down there, check it out, get yourself one today. All right, that's a good start. The first step to any decent paint correction, of course, is a good wash and decontamination of the paint. Now, what's next, of course, is gonna be a clay bar. You guys already saw me use this, as well as Gyeon's clay lube. When we reinstalled the molding here, I was trying to get all the junk and stuff up here so that I could stay away from it on the buffer once we get to the stage that we're almost at now, which is buffing. So we need to clay bar this entire car. And I guess now is a good time to talk about whatever this is. Like I said, this car sat outside. It was under like a carport basically, but it sat outside for 8 years. And when the car showed up, it had all of this stuff on the hood, or the roof rather, which literally, until you got it clean, it looked like dirt. I thought that this would just power wash off, or at the very least clay off. But I started to get a little nervous when we ran into whatever that little spot is in the last video. It's basically the same thing up here on the hood. So earlier this week off camera, I did a couple of tests. It's going to be hard to tell with the overcast sky right now. But I wanted to see what it would take to get this out, to see if we're going to have to repaint this or not. And the jury is still kind of out. But I did clay bar with a heavy cut pad with a heavy cut compound. And it basically just shined this up. If you can imagine what this would look like shined up. But whatever this is, this pitting, damn son, how you like that Android zoom? Look at that fingernail. Anyways, whatever this is, didn't come out. It was basically just shined up. So I did a little bit more experimentation right here. And again, the lighting is horrendous for this. But long or the short is, I was able to get it out like right here, but it was not easy, and I'm a little nervous about doing the rest of this roof here. I basically had to use 1200 grit sandpaper and wet sand the heck out of it. So 1200 grit, then 2000 grit, then the cutting pad, and then polished it, and it's basically perfect. But I removed a lot of clear coat, which in a case like this, you know, what do you have to lose? We can potentially see if we can save the factory paint and remove a lot of those defects. Or the other option is a complete repaint of the whole roof, which of course we would like to avoid. What I'm getting at here is if we burn through the clear up here, that's a bummer, but it also is, you know, we haven't done any damage because this is unacceptable in the current condition. And if we burn through the clear, that just means that we would have had to repaint anyways. Med-Flight. So I actually just ordered a paint thickness gauge just to kind of see where I'm at up here, see if it's feasible to finish the rest of the roof. What's weird is it stops right here. The front of the roof is like perfect. Back here just has like, it's like something sat on the paint for a while and it just kind of ate into the clear coat. Maybe it's concrete dust. Like I said, this thing sat at a outside of a concrete plant. The guy lived next to a concrete plant or something like that. I don't know. The deck lid, as you guys know, the horizontal surfaces always get it the worst. This one appears to be in good shape. I don't know if it has any of that pitting, but hopefully we don't need to do any wet sanding back here. Other than that, the rest of the car, I think, is going to buff and polish out beautifully. There's no dents, no dings that we haven't already taken care of. There's no major scratches or anything. This thing is going to be absolutely beautiful when it's done. The hood off that Grand Marquis has a couple scuffs that I'm almost positive are going to buff out, and then this thing should be mint. So that's where I'm at, and I think what I'm going to do first is the clay the whole car, and then I'm going to get to work wet sanding. I might even put some of those pads that we used on the Lightning on the DA to see if I can speed this up a little bit. And hopefully I'm going to do that outside, because you guys know wet sanding is messy, and then we're probably going to have to wash the car again just to get all that junk off of there. So I got a lot of work ahead of me. We're already losing daylight, so we'll see how much we get done today, but let's get started. Full clay bar done, and as you would probably expect, this car definitely needed it, but even though the paint looks just as terrible as it did before, listen to this. Nothing. Whereas before it would have been like... Now she's buttery smooth. Now when I do full paint corrections like this, you guys have seen it on the channel before, I like to toss the vehicle up on my quick jacks, you know, shuffle some vehicles around in here so I have good access all around the whole vehicle without my back up against something like the lift, for example. But I don't think that we're quite ready to start buffing yet, per se. Now that it's dry, I can give you guys a good look at the roof here. This is fully clay barred. I actually had to start with my clay mitt because the clay literally would not move. With, you know, a ton of soap and clay lube, it was just stuck there. So that's how rough this surface was. I started with the clay mitt, then came back with the clay bar. It still feels and sounds awful compared to up here. You can hear the sound change. So there's a problem with the clear here, obviously, but again, here's my test spot with now a water spot in it. But here's a good starting point at what we're working with. But anyways, the reason that I don't have that done yet is because I need to start wet sanding that roof. But wet sanding is messy, and I'd really like to do it outside, but it's now fall, so it's dark at like 6 o'clock p.m. So I'm gonna start wet sanding tomorrow, but also gotta keep my feet moving. We gotta keep going on this project. So I think I'm gonna forget about that for the moment and start buffing what's available. So maybe the fenders, maybe start on the hood, bumper. We might have to do a bit of headlight restoration on this car. The corners should be easy, they're in good shape. The headlights have some of this like clear peeling and cracking. I don't know if I'll be able to save these or not. We're gonna give it a try, but I would love to. You see that right there? Original Mercury part. Obviously these are unobtainium, you know, from Mercury anymore because Mercury doesn't exist. But here is the arsenal of tools we're gonna be using to tackle and go to war on this paint. Of course, the Gyeon stuff that I already showed you. Specifically, their cutting and buffing compounds. This paint needs all the help that it can get for the first stage, so we're gonna go right at it with the heavy duty, heavy hitters, Compound Plus, and their heavy cut pad. That's probably where we're gonna start, and I bet you the results are going to be nothing short of spectacular on this hood and this fender, and you know, we'll see where else we get. Of course, I got all the towels, the soft wipes that I'm gonna need, ready to roll. Got my trusty Flex DA ready to go, and of course the rotary if we need it. And then once the paint is absolutely perfect, we're gonna seal it all in with their Q2 Pure Evo, which should slick this paint in, make it hydrophobic, and protect it for years to come. But we are literally days of work away from that, so might as well get to work with the buffer and see what we can do with the paint that doesn't need wet sanding. Let's do it. Just wet sanded and buffed this whole area right here. Can't even tell. Might be pooched. As usual on this channel, it has been a few days and we are outside and there's a nor'easter coming. Flooding, rain, high winds, and just trying to get as much as we can done outside because wet sanding and buffing is messy before I can hopefully move this inside and be productive for the next day or day and a half while it monsoons and storms out here. So started up on the roof and didn't get very far before I decided I think that this is going to need repainted, and we can talk about that in a little bit. Same thing with the deck lid. I think I showed this in the B-roll, but I basically buffed this thing and it looked just as bad, but you know, more shiny. But all of the pitting and defects are still there. So unfortunately, I think that basically all of the horizontal surfaces on this car, you know, the back of the roof and the deck lid are going to be subject to repaint unless I can fix them. The door, if you guys remember when I went to put door molding back on, there was a little bit of the same stuff right here. And I was able to get that out with some good wet sanding, the rotary, a wool pad, and then the DA and a wool pad. And that is gone now. There was some more of it up here. I've got most of it out. A lot of this is buffing dust, but some of it, if you get right up on the paint, you can still see it. I don't know what it is, but if I wet sand long enough, I could probably get it out. But this is one of those things where, you know, how far do you want to go? Is it worth burning through the clear coat here and having to repaint this whole door, you know, for something that you can't even see unless you're right up on it, and even then it looks like, you know, just dust. So I think the door is 95% there, and I don't know if I want to go any farther because, oh no, my seltzer. That's the good stuff too, Spindrift. I think that we're gonna end up repainting the roof. I think we're gonna end up repainting the deck lid. And you know, while we're there, I'm starting to think we might repaint the hood too. It's really hard to see in this dark lighting, but I buffed this whole section here, and same thing. Tons more clarity, but you know, there's still scratches there. There's some, you're not gonna be able to see here. We'll pull it in later and show you. But basically the goal right now is I'm gonna see if I can save something on the roof and or deck lid by wet sanding and hitting the rotary out here while I still can. Then we'll move this thing inside. We'll kind of angle it, maybe get it up on the quick jacks, and hopefully get the rest of the car buffed with the DA, the Gyeon purple cut pad, and their Cutting Plus compound. And hopefully we don't find any other areas that need wet sanding and or, you know, potential repaint. So I'm bummed that we're gonna have to do some body work and paint here, but at least knock on, you know, rear glass here. It's just hopefully these 2 or 3 panels so far, and I think it'll be worth it for a 30,000 original mile Marauder. So I'm gonna get back to work while I still can. Then we'll get this thing inside and start buffing. Everybody loves good 50-50. Before and after. Amazing what a little bit of a cut can do on that factory UA Ford Black. Yeah, we're inside. What a weird day. It like started spitting rain and I moved everything inside and then it stopped and then I moved everything back outside and then it started again and eventually I just said, screw this, let's move this thing inside and here's where we're at. Like I said, this door is basically mint. I think we're pretty much good to, I mean, it's dirty. It's got wet sand schmuck on it and whatnot, but I got out what I needed to. So I think we're good to put this molding back on, give this a full cut, and then we'll call this door good. The roof, not so much. I think I'm gonna stop wasting time on this. I hit this down to like 1,000 grit, maybe even 800 grit, and you can just still see this. So where I'm at is I can waste probably a day or more sanding this thing, and then maybe we get it pretty good. And then there's literally no clear coat left. So whoever goes to, so much as run a rag across this thing next time is basically gonna have to repaint it. Or I could just stop wasting time and we can repaint the roof, which is the reality of the situation. And I'm kind of right now with the trunk lid, I'm like, do I even bother? Maybe if I have time, I'll do a test spot, but I'm trying to keep this project moving forward, trying to keep making progress. So where I'm at is, we're just gonna cut every panel that we can that doesn't need a repaint so that this car is 70% paint corrected so that when it comes time to do the final paint correction, most of the hard work is done. The cutting is the hardest step, the most labor intensive step. Basically, I want everything that we don't have to repaint to look like this. Basically like glass, but with a little bit of haze. You can see a little bit of haze there, like that little cloudiness right there. That's what is left behind by the cutting pass usually, and comes out in the polish stage. So the polish stage literally is just getting rid of that haze and brings out that last little bit of shine. So if we can get the whole car looking like this, that'd be neat. So this whole side, the other whole side, all the doors, all this coming down here, the whole quarter panel should be mint, front bumper, rear bumper, all that. Oh yeah, I did, there was a little bit more of this schmuck, not nearly as bad on the pillar here. Wet sanded that, was able to get that pretty much out. Just came back through with one pass on the DA. Probably gonna hit it with the rotary tomorrow. Speaking of rotary, mine decided that it only wanted to run on wide open and kind of ran away from me on the roof. So I smashed it in the driveway. So now I need to go to Harbor Freight tomorrow and get a new one. The old Harbor Freight one that cost $10 back in 2012 finally failed me. So basically we're gonna keep cutting with the Gyeon purple pad, maybe mix the wool pad in there here and there, and their Compound Plus. This stuff right here, just removing 20 years of swirls and scratches and 8 years of sitting outside. So, oh yeah, in the spirit of keeping the project moving, also decided to bolt the last little bit of the interior together, which was this little kick panel down here and the metal plate that goes behind it, as well as the parking brake release. So the interior is 100% together. Desperately needs a vacuum and a detail, but not too much more to do in there. It's already super late tonight, so I'm gonna work for a little bit longer, then we'll get at it early tomorrow morning and check in with you guys in a bit. right, quick status update. Next day, I am buffing away in the garage here. Got the driver's side most of the way corrected, looking real nice. Front fender, driver's door. Oh, I forgot the mirror, still gotta do that. This whole pillar, did these pieces right here. I actually polished this one too, just to get rid of that haze to see what it was gonna look like, so you can see what that will look like. Both doors, completely 100% done. There was more of whatever that staining was, or that was, you know, destroying the clear coat. Basically what's on the roof, but not as bad. There was some here. There was a bunch here. We already talked about that. Basically this whole rear door right here. So I wet sanded. This stuff was really not bad. Basically wet sanded right out. A little 2000 grit. This is all perfect now. Again, don't mind the haze that will come out in the polish stage. And, you know, and this is why I wanted to buff the whole car before we determine exactly what needs paint, because you don't really know a car and the condition of the paint until you've buffed it, because you're, you know, 12 inches or less from the paint for hours on end. That's when you find the condition. Right here is a perfect example. I thought this quarter was perfect, which, you know, back here it almost is, but, you know, I thought this was going to be a quick cut, polish, and we'd have a perfect quarter, but no, there's more of this stuff. Again, not nearly as bad as what's on the roof, similar to what was on the door right there. I think that most of this will wet sand out, which, you know, drifted down from the pillar there, but that is not going to just buff out with the DA. That is going to take some wet sanding. So this is taking a while, you guys. I'm using mostly the Gyeon cutting compound and a wool pad, like the strongest combination you're going to find on a DA. This old Ford Clear is hard. The defects are deep and heavy, and it's just wrestling this DA down the side of this huge big body 4-door Panther. I think right now, honestly, I'm going to switch over to the other side and maybe the front bumper. Just take a break from wet sanding for a little bit here. I still got to go pick up a new rotary. But I am very happy with this. This is the end goal here. Just basically perfect with a little bit of haze that we can polish out later. If I can get the rest of the car to look like this, I'll be cool with that. And I think that the rest of it will end up like that, minus the horizontal surfaces. Still many, many hours to go. We're probably gonna bleed into tomorrow at this point, so back at it. What did I just say? Why don't I ever listen to myself? It was probably 5 minutes ago, as far as this video is concerned, that I said, let's not get greedy, I think I'm gonna stop here, I don't think I'm gonna wet sand anymore. If I wet sand long enough, I could probably get it out, but this is one of those things where, you know, how far do you wanna go? Is it worth burning through the clear coat here and having to repaint this whole door? And you know what I did? I wet sanded more. And look what happened. Now we're painting this door. This is a huge bummer, guys, but this is the cost of chasing perfection, and this is something that can happen when you're wet sanding or paint correction in general is, you know, you go to get that last defect out, and if you go too far, not only do you run out of clear coat, you run out of base coat, and you get into the primer. And at that point, you basically have no choice but to repaint that entire panel. So that's what's happening with this door now. It was basically perfect. I decided to try to get just a little bit more of those defects out, which you can still see here. It was kind of bad around this corner by the door handle here, and that's where I was hitting it. And went to squeegee it so I could buff it, and now there's no point because we're repainting this door. Huge bummer, but that's the risk you take. You know, I used the paint thickness gauge, which I'm glad I had it, and I'll talk about that in a second, but it didn't help me here. We're pooched, boys. It's the way she goes. On the plus side, this, if you can see past all the wool rotary dust, which we'll also talk about in a second, this quarter is absolutely perfect. This pillar is perfect. We're not going to talk about this door anymore. This door is perfect. This fender was the first one that we did. This is perfect. The hood, I don't know yet. I honestly think while we're there, we might as well repaint this. And then this whole side is basically perfect. Just spent probably the last hour on this quarter panel, and I've got it like 98% perfect. You guys saw the before. It was loaded up with whatever those defects are, and now they're basically gone. If you get like right up on it in certain lighting, you can kind of see it in this area. And this is a good spot where I'm glad that I had this, because I was about to wet sand this more, and the clear coat is already kind of thin here. So learning from my mistake over there, I put the sandpaper away and just you know, compounded it, and that's where we're gonna stop. I'm good with this. I looked at the before picture, which I just took an hour ago, but what this thing looked like before and now, I mean, I'm cool with that. And we haven't even polished it yet. This thing is really going to shine with a polish and a ceramic coat. I love a nice clean quarter panel, and we got it here. We saved this one, didn't burn through the clear coat, and all the paint on this side is going to stay original. So that's a big bummer, but I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do the front bumper. I might try and pop out the two headlights here, see if I can restore those. And then all that's left really is the rear bumper. But I think that hopefully I'm done destroying paint so that we can, you know, just keep the things that we need to paint to 4 here. But let's finish out the worst paint correction I've ever done. Great. Day 179 of this paint correction. That's how it always goes. It is just a time-consuming project every single time. This one especially, but that's okay. The results are gonna be worth it. Took the rotary to the front bumper, well, both bumpers actually, then followed that up with a cutting pad, and look at that shine. There was a ton of orange peel and haze in just 20 years. I bet this thing has never seen any sort of cut or polish. Looks so much better. I actually saw a low mileage one of these things on Bring a Trailer recently that had the exact same paint as mine, just like hazy and orange peel. And you could tell it was the factory paint, but all the comments were like, what happened to the front bumper? And it's like, I don't know, 20 years and just Ford quality, but this one is looking much better now. Also did a quick and dirty restoration on the headlights. They look a ton better. We may have been able to save those original Mercury units there. I had to go down to 180 grit to get rid of whatever that protective film is. Then 320, then I skipped up to 600, 1000, 1500, 2000, rotary, cut, and polish. And that's what we got. The driver's side one came out basically mint. Passenger side one is pretty good too, but at the end of the day, in certain lighting, it does still have those, micro cracks in the plastic. So the question is, do we get, obviously keep these, but do we get a new set of headlights just for the ultimate crystal clear, set of spectacles on this unit, or do we just rock the 95% there original Mercury units and of course ceramic coat them to protect them? Let me know what you guys think. Rear bumper, same thing. Insane transformation. Had to hit it with the rotary and the wool pad, which is like my new favorite now that I'm comfortable using it. Just cuts right down, and then you follow up, get rid of the haze and the buffer trails with a cutting pad. Look at the difference between the paint that I haven't touched yet and the bumper. It's like 2 shades darker. So just goes to show what a little bit of correction will do for you. It's just too bad we couldn't save this, and too bad I got greedy here, and too bad my OCD probably won't allow me to just buff this hood. It would look okay, but I mean, it's got all these like little crow's feet things in the clear that I think no matter how much I buff, those aren't gonna go away. Who could have predicted the hood out of a junkyard off a 100,000 mile Grand Marquis wouldn't be perfect? Did not see that coming. Well guys, I was hoping this was gonna be one of those full transformation videos where we go from 0 to hero, had this thing looking 100% perfect, ceramic coated, ready to go, cosmetically done, but we're still a long ways from there. A long, long ways. I've probably got, I don't know, 12 plus hours in this paint correction already, maybe more. And that's only 75% of the cutting phase. So the bad news obviously is we got to repaint some stuff, but let's try and look at the glass half full. Most of the panels I was able to save. All of this is basically perfect. Was able to save this quarter. Bumpers, which I originally thought I was going to have to paint that front bumper, if you guys remember that big scuff it had. This quarter is perfect. This door was good. Now hopefully it's just a quick scuff and shoot. This door is perfect. This fender is perfect. Bumper, grill, this panel, all of that stuff is good. All original paint, and all of those panels that I just mentioned are now cut, which as I said is the hardest part. So when we're got some fresh paint on this thing, we just got to come back, give those panels we've already touched a quick polish, then we'll ceramic coat them up using that Gyeon Evo stuff, which is protect this paint, slick it in, make it hydrophobic, all that good stuff. But I'm dead in the water basically at this point until we can paint this thing. And also because of this cold start issue, don't even want to start this thing and move it too much, which is fine. I got other stuff to work on. Dyno appointment is next week. So hopefully the next video you see of this thing is it hitting the dyno and it going well and this thing making good power. And then we can hopefully get it to the paint shop. I think that this is a little bit more than I can handle in my little, Little Tykes inflatable paint booth. Quick reminder, shirts are on the website. Just released the hoodies and the long sleeve t-shirts. Those are in stock, ready to ship. Same thing with almost all of my t-shirts. Actually, I think everything's in stock except for some random sizes of Brotella. But other than that, in stock, ready to ship. Support the channel, help me pay for some of this paint work. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next one.